Unitarian Universalist congregation. It is so good to be together with you, here in person and online. My name is Leslie McLean, and I am one of today's worship assistants. If you're joining us for the first time this morning, welcome. Whomever you are, wherever you are on your life journey, you are welcome here. Whomever you love, wherever you were born, whatever language you speak, you are welcome here. Whatever your skin color, whatever your class background, whatever your range of abilities, you are welcome here. We are so glad you chose our congregation as your place of worship this morning. We come together for worship in order to slow down and listen for the callings of our hearts, our spirits. We come together for worship so that we can be reminded of our highest aspirations and continue to transform ourselves into our best selves. And now we pause to light our chalice as a symbol of our shared Unitarian Universalism faith.
Spark of the Spirit, cupped in earth's embrace, light of love alive in all creation. As we kindle this flame, we rekindle our connection to the sacred web of life.
In the spirit of love and the beloved community, let's share in our congregational affirmation. We need not think alike to love alike. Today, we invite you to offer a greeting to your neighbor with a warm smile. Take a moment to turn to your left and to your right and offer a greeting of love and welcome. In honor of Trans Day of Visibility, which is tomorrow on March 31st, we offer these affirming words. Wholeness by the Reverend Sharon Wiley. We speak so often of brokenness in religious life. Let us speak today of wholeness. You are welcome here, all of you, every part of you, beautiful just the way you are. Here, you do not need to be something more or something less. No holding back, no hiding, no exerting yourself, no trying to do more or be more. You have inherent worth and dignity. Nothing to prove here. Nothing to prove to me or the person sitting next to you or to the children or to anyone. You don't have to try and be witty or more quiet or more outgoing. You are beautiful, every part of you, beautiful just the way you are. You do not need to change anything about yourself to be welcome here. Your skin, your hair, your belly, your limbs, your face, all beautiful, just the way they are. You are extraordinary. Each and every one of you different from each and beautiful in your own beautiful way. Breathtaking. Let us worship together. Now please rise in body or voice as we join together in song, hymn number 16, "'Tis a Gift to be Simple."
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Christina Branum-Martin. It is so good to be with you this morning. And we've come to the time of our service where we share our joys, our sorrows, and our concerns. And Star, could you do me a big favor and bring me the book that's right behind you? Thank you. And Annabelle, where's Annabelle? Annabelle is going to help me with the stones. We just got to get all of our pieces together today. Thank you so much. Each week, we put stones into water. The stones are the things we carry, and the water receives them with ease. And when I remember to get the book, you can write each day that you come in the things that are on your heart. Also, for those online or during the week, you can email that to pastoralcare@emersonuu.org. We start with 3 stones. The first is in honor of the Cherokee and the Muskogee nations, of indigenous peoples who lived here before us. And the second is for those wrongly enslaved who we remember who labored on this land. And the third is for all of those hurting in current conflicts and wars that rage across our globe. And we have 3 things to share. The first is from Angelica Delzer, praying for all the immigrants who have been detained by ICE, especially those who are being targeted for using their First Amendment rights. This one is really, really important. Riley Lyons shares that he wishes a happy Transgender Day of Visibility to all my trans folks. And Riley has brought the trans flag later that we'll be using in the children's story. Thank you. And I am looking around for 2 people who happen to have gotten married yesterday. Where is Heather and Cody? Are they here? Okay, well, I want to tell you, with the yellow dusting of pollen everywhere, an outdoor spring wedding in their backyard, Cody and Heather were married with their children by their side, and family and friends, and it was just a lovely thing to be a part of, and we celebrate with you. Lynette, would you come tell us? Come tell us. You did? Oh my goodness, there's a whole nother page. Okay. Okay, get some more stones ready. You're making space. Thank you. Thank you. Lynette shares that my youngest brother, Leonard Shane Carlisle, at 61, died unexpectedly on Friday morning in South Carolina. I was hoping to meet here up with him next week. It had been a long time since we had been together. He was a beautiful spirit inside and out, kind and charming, devoted partner to Aaron and 2 pups, an actor, a singer, a Harley enthusiast, a wanderer, an animal lover, and my little brother, always leading me with encouragement. May he be at peace. Celeste Douglas writes, on Monday, I had successful surgery to remove a steel bar that has been across my rib cage for almost 3 years. That steel bar was in place to correct a rib cage deformity. I am sore and I am tired, but I am recovering very well. Thank you. And Chloe and Seth, very happy to have Brianna here with us, even for a short time. Yay. And such a grace. My daughter, Kiriana, has a choir concert today. How wonderful. Would you place one really, really big stone for my memory and my eyesight? There you go. Thank you. Let us share in the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness. May we all be filled with loving kindness. May we all be free from harm and suffering. May we all be well in body, heart, and mind. May we all be at peace. Blessed be. Thank you.
One way we put our prayer of loving kindness into action is by partnering with other organizations who work to bring love, kindness, and justice to the world. Our Share the Basket partner for March is the Must Ministries breakfast program for the Hope House clients in Marietta. Because the number of unhoused people has risen and because food is more expensive, we have chosen a 5-Sunday month in hopes that we can raise enough funds for the year. Must Ministries serves breakfast daily for clients at the Must Hope House in Marietta. Emerson volunteers cook and serve breakfast once a month, every second Monday, plus Thanksgiving and Christmas, bringing the groceries and starting cooking at 5:30 a.m. to serve by 6:30. We plan for 75 breakfasts, and when possible, have an additional 30 for those waiting outside. Our partnership with Must Ministries to fight food insecurity is a great way to serve our community. Please give generously to keep these programs going. The basket will now be passed. For those in the sanctuary, as the basket is passed, please feel free to offer a donation or see a card in the basket for other ways to give. For those online, go to emersonuu.org and select the Giving tab to donate. All donations, unless otherwise specified, are shared equally between Emerson and our partner organization.
Okay, now you can hear me. No, it's okay. I am going to stand for a second because I'm going to teach you a song in a little bit where I'm going to even invite you to stand. But first of all, I'm going to ask Keith to put a picture up on the screen of a tree I took a picture of a few years ago. And I'm going to tell you a story about that tree. Can we see it? It was really interesting as we were preparing for this day. Many, many months ago, we planned to talk about a book I was reading about the story about trees and how they communicate and talk to each other and what we could learn from the trees. And on the calendar, it was also Trans Day of Visibility tomorrow, and I wanted to come up with a way to combine them, and I thought of this picture. I want you to notice that there's a tree growing out of the center of the tree, and it seems as if that tree decided, you know what? I don't need this outside shell anymore. It doesn't fit me anymore. And let's go ahead and put the picture down so that I can make sure that I can see your faces too. You know, we all go through changes in our lives, and sometimes we decide we need to let things go. Sometimes it might be a name. Sometimes it might be the way we cut our hair. Sometimes it might be the clothes we wear. Sometimes it might be the pronouns that we were using before. And we all, in this place, know people who have gone through lots of changes in their lives. And this place, Emerson, is a place no matter what, you are safe here to wear what you want to wear, to use the name that you want to be called by, to use the pronouns that fit your place in the world. And like that tree, if you've got to let things go that don't fit anymore, this is a place for you to come and say, this is who I really am. And I'm going to grow up big and strong. And I am so glad that I thought of that picture, because I wasn't sure how to tell you that story, and that picture was perfect. Do you know people in your life who need to feel safe right now? I do. I hope you know that if anybody ever needs a place, that they know this place is where you can come. You are special, all of you, and I'm looking at everybody's eyes, exactly as you are. And you know what? If you change something about yourself tomorrow, you're still going to be special to me. And I am so glad to have shared that story with you. And I'm going to share a song with you. And I'm thinking, Seth, could you hold this microphone for me while I teach the song? You know why? Because it's got motions to it. So go ahead and stand. You can stay seated and do the motions with your arms, okay? Okay. I learned this at the Unitarian Universalist Church where I grew up. And it's written by a person named Starhawk. And Starhawk taught the song with a chant that says, standing like a tree with my roots dug down, my branches wide and open. Down comes the rain, down comes the sun, down comes the fruit to a heart that is open to be standing like a tree. And you go over and over. So now I'm going to teach you the motions. Okay, first stomp your feet with me. Standing like a tree with my roots dug down, my branches wide and open. Down comes the rain, down comes the sun, Down comes the fruit to a heart that is open to be standing like a tree with my roots dug down, my branches wide and open. Down comes the rain, down comes the fruit, down comes the fruit to a heart that is open to be standing like a tree. Thank you. Okay, one last question. Who has ever climbed into a tree house? Okay, who has ever climbed into a tree? Who has ever fallen out of a tree? Oh my goodness, that's a lot of hands that just went up. That's actually surprising. I had a tree house when I was a kid, and I used to climb up there and watch the birds and mess with the squirrels and watch the bugs. And I'm going to tell your brother used to have a tree house in Utah? And you too? That's pretty specific. Well, why don't we gather together in our circle and sing our song of dedication? I am so glad to tell you my story today, and if you want to tell me about your tree house or climbing trees later, I want to hear your story. Love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is its prayer, to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship. Thus do we covenant with each other. Thus do we promise to each other. And I forgot something. We're going to print on the back of the order of service every week the words to that song. We realized that as we were putting up the words on the screen, which is wonderful, it also meant that we didn't have a visual of that time with our children here in the sanctuary, for those at home, and also in our recordings. And I didn't want to miss that sweet moment. So the words will be printed on the back of the order of service every week on the bottom. I want to enter into a moment of prayer. If you would take a breath, find your center. I want to offer a blessing. These words are by Reverend Barb Grieve, one of my colleagues who has been so outspoken over the years, many, many years, for trans rights, for non-binary rights, for rights for all of our queer colleagues and Unitarian Universalists. And Barb offers this blessing. Blessed are the trailblazers who brought us this far and are still trailblazing, still celebrating. Blessed are the drag queens and kings who remind us not to take life too seriously. Blessed are the gender benders, non-binary, gender fluid, third gender folk, and all who challenge us to reframe our own gender paradigm. Blessed are the young ones who present fearlessly from the start. Blessed are their parents who make space for freedom to love their children fiercely. Blessed are the siblings and relatives who educate and support and love us as we are. Blessed are the genderqueer youth who are struggling and persist. And blessed are the 90-year-olds still just coming out, and for those who have been out for decades. Blessed are those whose lives were cut too short. May their stories live on through us. Blessed are the survivors. May they keep on living. Blessed are their allies learning to be accomplices. Blessed are those gathered here today witnessing, learning, celebrating. Our prayer today is that we continue to show up, to fight for justice and to celebrate all genders in life, yours and mine and all who gather beside you. Amen.
So I was asked to write a reflection on trees. So here are my thoughts. I grew up in Transylvania County in western North Carolina, and it should be no surprise with a name like that 2/3 of it is heavily wooded and is actually part of a national forest. So there were trees everywhere, and I always liked being in the woods, feeling a general sense of calm and as though everything was right with the world. And while I learned the names of the native trees and could identify most by their physical characteristics, I didn't typically spend time pondering them, what they meant to me or the purposes they served. Then in my sophomore year in high school, my biology teacher gave us an assignment to find a spot in nature and visit it at least weekly, watching for changes until the end of the school year. We were to take notes and turn in a report at the end, detailing what we had observed. I purposefully chose a spot in our front yard that had a small dogwood tree in the middle of it, thinking it would be easy enough to go out every week and see what was happening. Initially, I went out every few days, but soon was going out almost daily over the next many months, documenting what I saw happening through photographs and written notes. And there was much happening that I had paid little attention to previously. Other than occasionally filling a bird feeder that hung in the tree, I had had little reason to spend time around it. I had admired it from afar as the leaves changed color or the flowers appeared, but that was it. Now I had reason to take a nearly microscopic view of it for the assignment, and I spent time examining every aspect of that tree and the area immediately around in the small area. I watched the tree itself up close and the activity centered around it, the texture and color of the bark, the shape and size of the leaves, ants on the ground moving seeds to their nests, birds flying in to rest on the branches and eat the berries, leaves turning red and then carpeting the ground around the tree, snow covering the bare branches and accenting the tight buds growing at the tips of them. And then as spring arrived, those distinctive flowers coming into bloom. The assignment was both interesting and informative from a biological perspective, showing how things in nature change in small and large ways over time. But it took on a life of its own and became more than something to turn in for a grade. It was truly a delight to really focus on this tree and how it could look so different each time I visited the spot. I made a point of going out when it was raining, or maybe the next time going out as the sun was setting and everything was dusky. I looked forward to spending time in the area. I had the opportunity to become intimately familiar with this tree, all it did and all it had to offer. As I visited the spot, I came to a greater appreciation of what this tree meant to all the parts of nature that it supported, as well as how it affected me. Even after the assignment was finished, I spent more time around that tree, checking to see what was happening. A couple of years after my assignment, a storm blew down another tree that damaged the dogwood tree slightly, although it continued to look healthy and grow. Then my parents moved from this house just as I graduated from college, and due to the house's location, it was no longer easily accessible. So I don't know what ultimately happened to that tree. But the experience gave me a reason to pay attention to something that I had taken for granted, and I gained a better sense of the tree and its impact. I've continued to pay careful attention to trees, appreciating their role in nature and the sense of calm they still bring. It always brings me great joy when we've had the opportunity to plant trees, and I can see that same potential that dogwood, nurturing many creatures, including me, through their existence.
Some of my favorite memories were the hours I spent in a simple treehouse, really just platforms of plywood, kind of wedged into a tree. It was right outside the patio of my house, and it was in a big oak tree in the south in Houston, Texas, a live oak, one that held its leaves. The story is in my family that my grandfather planted that tree when they moved into the neighborhood. It was a subdivision where everything was just kind of plowed down, and there were no trees, and so he, in the first week, supposedly planted that tree. And 40 years later, I was climbing up to spend time there. I think I felt a little bit more at home in that tree than I did sometimes inside. I loved hearing the wind move through the branches. I loved watching the birds and seeing the squirrels run about. I liked watching all the insects change over the seasons. I even once put my hand climbing up right onto an asp, and it hurt my hand, and I thought, this tree is teaching me something, for me to be careful and to watch what's around me. When I think back on that time, I realized that might have been my first real experience of awe. And as a child, what an important thing to learn. And ever since then, I have had a kinship with nature and trees. There's a book I picked up called The Hidden Life of Trees, and the subtitle is What They Feel and How They Communicate: Discoveries from a Secret World by Peter Wohlleben. And it took me back to those early days of climbing my tree. And since reading that book, I have been pondering about our own connections to nature and the way that it binds our fate intricately together. Do you have a tree in your memory of your childhood? I see heads shaking. I think that connection really is theological in many ways. Over the years, we and our connections to trees and nature and flowers and birds, these are the ways in our Unitarian Universalist faith that we can be grounded to our connection to the interconnected web of life itself. And if someone were to ask me to describe my theology in detail, I would say I'm a humanist who is also a religious naturalist. That doesn't make a very short elevator speech. So I'll tell you that a religious naturalist has the perspective that regards nature as both exhaustive of reality and worthy of deep reverence and devotion. So on one hand, what it's saying is that nature is all that there is no external supernatural. Nature is life itself. And on the other hand, it is possible and desirable to have a spiritually fulfilling existence, recognizing the beauty and splendor and awesomeness of nature. So for me, nature itself is capable of evoking awe, wonder, gratitude, amazement, celebration. And nature itself is sacred, vitally and centrally important, and thus is welcome to our utmost devotion and protection. I know that when I have described my perspective of my relationship, my spiritual relationship to nature, others might say, well, that's God. And you know what? All the words are poetry to me. What matters is how you feel. And when I think back to that time in my treehouse, be it that I was connected to God or nature or the spirit of life itself, may the poetry carry all of us as we move forward to protect it in our lives. The link to Unitarian Universalist theology in the way that I just described is a deep connection to nature that comes from a long-standing part of our Unitarian history. That heritage began with transcendentalism. And Ralph Waldo Emerson, the namesake of this congregation, was one of the writers and a Unitarian minister who moved transcendentalism forward. Emerson believed in a religious naturalism where God is revealed through nature, and that the whole world is divine space and a source of spiritual understanding. And you know what's really interesting? Transcendentalists at the time said to their generation's former, I don't need to go to a church building, a church itself and 4 walls to be with God. I just need to go hiking. I just need to go to the mountains or perhaps climb a tree. There was a sense that the man-made church separated you from God itself. Unitarian Universalism still seeks our vision of sacred in many places and in many ways. And that includes learning from science, that includes our reverence of the natural world. And this extends well to the spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions, which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. All of these lenses on the means of the sacred, of the holy, of the divine, all these words that represent awe, lead us to a more deep connection to the interdependent web of existence that we are a part of. I imagine all of us have had moments, perhaps a special time of being in a tree as a child, or holding a bunny rabbit in their hands and feeling the breathing of this little animal, or perhaps even a young baby laughing and making noise as they do with life. And this is the premise of Wohlleben. I don't know why I'm having a hard time with that name. Wohllebens book. He says basically that trees can teach us about a way to live in this world. Wohlleben says, did you know that the roots of trees can occupy an area 4 to 7 times as large as the crown of the tree? That's enormous. It was once taught in science that trees cannot speak to each other because they lack the mechanisms that we, animals, use. But science has now shown, and his book gives so many details of the ways that we can re-examine this assumption. The book lays out with compelling evidence that through the roots and even the wind, that trees are talking to each other. Another scientist and forester, Susan Simmer, explores the relationship between trees, and really more than trees, the whole community that trees live in. She says that the exchange and connections are a part of the forest ecosystem itself. She maps out kind of a mass communication and energy network, and it links everything together. She says, imagine this. Imagine when you're walking in the forest that you are traversing a telecommunication system that dwarfs the extent, dynamics, and complexity of anything that man has made. And you know how that has been made? Anyone have a guess? Fungus. Yep, fungus. Think mold. Think mushrooms. Think yeast. Fungus plays a kind of symbiotic superstar role in the forest ecosystem. Fungus helps us to balance the life flow in the roots of the trees, she writes. She says there's a particular fungus called mycelium, and it has thin white threads that connect to each other. And they help us link the trees together, and through the fungal links, trees communicate. And it's so interesting, when I read the pages describing these connections, I thought of the time when I was studying biology in college and saw the white threads of connection in the brain. Our systems of nature are so amazing. What do you think? Do you think trees can actually talk to each other? Oh, my kid says yes. Is there something you're trying to say? Okay.
Me and my dad watched a nature show on it. They connect through their roots, and they can't talk to each other. They do.
So my kid is affirming that the trees talk to each other. Well, let me tell you a cool story about how they do that. First, they're sharing information, specifically about what help they might need or what help they can give. And the trees are sharing not only with their same species, but with trees that they're not even related to. First, they share sugar and carbohydrates, and with the fungus, they exchange the mycelia that gives tree minerals nutrients through the same fungal networks. What I hear in this is that trees help each other in need. If one tree is struggling and the other one cannot produce enough sugar or carbohydrates, the fungal mycelia facilitate the gift of nutrients to a neighbor tree. How beautiful is that? She describes it as, imagine your neighbor comes over and says, I need some sugar. Just a cup of sugar, maybe an egg. I'm just doing some baking and I'm short. And the tree says, yeah, I've got some to spare, and sends it over. And one of our Unitarian Universalist ministers, Kimberly Tomzak Carlson, said that she wept when she read that trees even know when their death is near. And then they share and transfer their nutrients to the other. It's like a silent offering as they say goodbye. Braiding Sweetgrass, another beautiful book about the connections of nature itself, written by Robin Wall Kimmerer, poetically shares that trees weave a web of reciprocity, of giving and taking. And it's through the ways that the fungus connects them. Through unity and survival, all flourishing is mutual. Trees give a signal of danger. Trees talk to each other through pheromones with the help of the wind. And also, if an animal, such as a mammal or a caterpillar, bites a leaf, communication moves from one tree to another part of the tree, or even the next tree, that something is present that is dangerous. Now, it takes a while. It's not quick, the way our brain neurons move, but that signal happens chemically. She writes that it happens about 1/3 of an inch per minute. That's pretty slow. But that defense mechanism saves itself and saves each other. All of these authors share that trees are watching out for each other, and that they know if they themselves are to prosper, they need to save each other. We can learn from this, can't we? All flourishing is mutual. And this only scratches the surface. And science has proven that trees parent. Trees parent even when a stump needs new growth, just as in my photo. I happened to come across that just walking through a field one day and came across a wooded area, and that tree has been growing ever since. I have visited it many times. I find this also amazing, and maybe it's because I got a biology degree and I geek out a little bit. But you know, trees are having silent green conversations. And we themselves can learn from the trees. We can hold the trees and the communication between them with the mycelium and the tree root beds all below us, knowing that we are a part of something so grand and beautiful. And I remember as I read these things about that feeling of awe I had in the tree when I was a child. I hope that you too can be connected back to that sense of awe. Transcendentalism taught us then and now that the divine is infused in all of nature and in each of us. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, there is divinity in each of us. We each have a fragment. Nurturing the connections between our fragments, we can cultivate our own spiritual emergence. Ursula Goodenough wisely tells us that emergence, the act of becoming, is inherent in everything that is alive, including you and me. And that is a miracle. Yes, the trees are teaching to us. Let us listen, because they are themselves some of the oldest living beings on earth. They are teaching us to remember to slow down, to see the beauty around us, to watch out for one another, to know that we are related to each other and that we need each other. And in so, as we listen, we are called to the higher moral to serve the sacred and all of our interconnections. Let us listen. The whole natural world is crying out for us to see their miracles and heed their call. May the divine in you, may the divine in me listen and learn to protect it. May it be so. Let us now sing together our closing hymn, number 301, Touch the Earth and Reach the Sky. we see the miracles all around us, every day, in you and in me, as we move not only to see the beauty that is all around us, may we also see the beauty changing as each of us grow into the persons we are meant to be in this world. May we find the miracles with every step we take. Annabelle, would you come help me put out the chalice? We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. Thank you, Annabelle.
Please see the back of your order of service for what's going on for second hour, and we have several announcements. The first one is that the Marietta Pride Parade has been rescheduled until April the 12th due to the rain expected today. Do you have an announcement?
Today's message reminds me of our stewardship campaign, which is rooted in community. Good morning, Emerson. I am Claudia Hebert, your congregational president, and I'm here to once again to make a personal plea for all those who are members of Emerson who have not already made their 2026 campaign pledge of financial support to Emerson. I wish I did not have to speak on stewardship again, but to be perfectly frank with you, our current situation is not yet dire, but certainly teetering on the edge. Let me briefly explain and make my case. Here are the facts. We launched our campaign on March 9th, and as of today, we have only received 79 pledges, representing only half of our member pledges. However, at this same place in last year's campaign, we had received 165 pledges. If we cannot secure the financial support of Emerson, sadly and regrettably, we will have to make choices to include continuing to not pay our extraordinary staff just and professional wages. We will also have to make changes to our superb religious education programming. This continues to be a hallmark of who we are at Emerson. Other programming such as OWL, social justice, repair and maintenance of our building to include needing a new security system, and the dream of expanding our fellowship hall could be in jeopardy. We have until May 1st to do all we can to achieve our stewardship goal of 158 pledges and $350,000. Please join with me to achieve what I deeply believe is within our grasp to achieve. You can go to Realm or our EUUC online platform, or you can come see me as I brought pledge forms, and I can enter your pledge for you. Thank you for listening.
We have one other announcement. Theo and Clara, would you all please come up?
Hello, everyone. I'm Theodore Thomas, and this is my awesome friend, Claire Douglas.
Hi there.
We're here to say a huge thank you to all of you, Emerson's amazing congregation. Because of your generosity, we now have enough supplies to create over 400 hygiene kits for unhoused individuals in our community.
That's so many. That means 400 people will be getting things like soap, shampoo, toothpaste, deodorant, and we even have diapers and tampons donated in addition to all the other supplies.
Yeah. These kits will be donated to Must Ministries, and they'll help people feel clean, confident, and cared for. We couldn't have done this without your kindness and support.
And now it's time for the fun part, putting them all together.
We're going to be packing all 400 kits on Saturday, April 5th, right here at 11 a.m.
And we would love your help.
This is an intergenerational service project. So if you're an adult who wants to join us and be part of something meaningful, you're welcome. We'd love to have you. Just talk to Michael Lukens, our Director of Family Ministries, to get involved.
It's going to be fun and it's helping people. So if you're a kid, youth, or parent, or an adult who just cares, come be a part of it. And there's going to be plenty of pizza to feed everyone. Yum.
Thank you again for your incredible support. Emerson, you've shown just how big your hearts are. Thank you.
Thank you.
As our service ends, go now in peace and take peace wherever you go.